Hello 3D design students. Today we're going to be looking at how you roll a slab, how you drape a slab over a pre-existing form, and how you create impressed texture into that slab. The first thing you're going to need to do is obviously get your clay out of the clay trash can and wedge it really well for 2 to 4 minutes. I'd like you to get clay about the size of a softball. So I wedged about, I'd say, a softball amount of clay. The next thing I need to do is go back into this cabinet here where it says canvas for rolling, for slab rolling. Right here you can find these pink mats. Go ahead and grab yourself one, walk it back to your seat. You're also going to need to grab a rolling pin and these things called roller guides. You might notice that they're different colors. You need to find a matching set. This will be how thick your slab is. All right, so now I am ready to roll my slab. Let's go over some clay vocabulary just to review. Remember, when your clay is soft and workable, it is known as plastic. Right now, the clay is plastic. It is soft and it is workable. It has water in it and it is ready. Start rolling my slab. I need to first lay down my roller guides. Okay, like I said before, the thickness of your slab will depend on your roller guides. The thinner the guide, the thinner the slab. So I'm going to go with something on the thinner side. That's just my personal preference. You can use whatever size roller guides you would like. And I'm going to go ahead and lay my roller guides on either side of my clay. Okay. This is to ensure that my clay stays the same height and my slab is even. If I don't have these, I'll have thick and thin spots on my slab. I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to roll out my slab, making sure that the rolling pin stays on the roller guides the entire time. Okay, don't let it slide off the side. Make sure it stays on the entire time. My slab has been rolled the whole way out. When I put it in between the roller guides and I roll, nothing moves anymore. It's completely rolled flat. I'm going to be draping over one of these little tiny dishes for a couple reasons. One, this is just the experimentation process. We're learning how to use the materials. This is not going to be a final project. I like to experiment first, and then we'll plan bigger projects once we know how these things work. So we're all going to use one of these tiny dishes to drape. What you need to do is take some paper towel, and you're going to start by just tearing off a small piece and simply laying it over top of the little dish. This is so the clay doesn't stick to the dish and you'll be able to get it off. My next step is going to be to cut this slab because it's way too big right now to drape over my little bowl. Okay? To do that, I'm going to use a variety of tools. This tool is a fettling knife, also known as a clay knife. This tool is a potter's needle, otherwise known as a needle tool. And then this is a little serrated knife. All of these tools can be found in bins located by the windows. Okay, so help yourself to tools. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out a shape that I'm going to then drape over my bowl. Okay? This shape is up to you. Remember, I have rulers over by the sink if you need a ruler, but I want you to think about creating a simple shape. It can be organic or it can be geometric. And what I mean by that, geometric would be like a square, a triangle, a circle, where organic would be more of a free form shape. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so this is the shape I got. I'm going to smooth my slab out a little just with my fingers and maybe give a little spray of water. A little spray of water. Do not drench this thing. That is not necessary. It'll be way too slippy and slimy if you go crazy with the water. All right. So now it's ready for me to do some impressing. Part of your assignment today for tomorrow was to bring in 3 things from home that you can use to create texture. That could have been buttons, things from nature, little pieces of jewelry, tools, things in your shed. So you can decide if you want to use one or all 3 of those items you brought from home, or go over to my bins and see what other things that I have. Okay, we have things that you can roll and make texture. Things like shells work really great for pressing in and making texture. I really like to use like lace or doilies to make texture. And I'm going to go ahead right now and show you how you would lay something on and then take a small rolling device to impress into your clay. Okay, I'm not pushing hard because I don't want to squish out my clay. I just want to show an impression. And I lift that up and I get this really interesting texture here. Okay? And then maybe I'd want to take something like this leaf and kind of maybe press that in. I'm requiring that you use at least one texture for this project. And you can see that texture that created there. So I've created texture on this side. Now it's time to drape this over my bowl with a paper towel. Now I need to decide, do I want the texture to be on the inside or do I want the texture to be on the outside? I can also add texture to both sides after I've draped it. So I'm going to say that I want this texture to be on the inside here. And it doesn't matter where you lay it, you can center it, or you can make it more asymmetrical and kind of let it lean to the side. I'm going to let that up to you. Kind of press down. It's going to take the form of that bowl once it becomes a little bit more dry. Okay. Another thing you can think about are your sides. Like I could flip this side up if I wanted to, or any of these little sides. Okay, play around and experiment with what you think will look the best once you take it off of the mold. Okay? If you've decided to lay your texture on the inside, you can also now go ahead and create some texture on the outside of the bowl if you so desire. Once you've gotten through this far, you're going to keep your clay on the little bowl, and the entire thing is going to go into your damp box. Here's your damp box. First thing you want to do with it is give it a couple of sprays of water right onto the plaster. Okay? This is going to create that moist environment for your clay, and when you come back, it won't be all dried out. So you're going to go ahead and place this whole thing in the damp box. Make sure the lid goes on it nice and tight. Make sure you hear a click, and then this whole box can go onto your shelf, and we will revisit it the next time that we're in school. Let's review how to clean up in the art room. Okay. To clean up, we need to make sure that we put our tools back where we got them. So the rolling pin and the roller guides. The tools that we used to cut clay, or the tools we used, literally just to cut the clay, these need to get washed off in the sink and put back where you found them. Things like the texture rollers and stuff, if you got tons of clay on them, please rinse them. Otherwise, they can just go back in the bins. You want to make sure that you roll up the mat and put it back and wipe off anything that needs wiped off. If you've gotten mess on your table, make sure that you use a sponge and clean it up.